Hello, welcome to Real Magic Review. Today I'm going to be talking about the Avi Yap Masterclass from Vanishing Inc. Before I do this review of the Avi Yap Masterclass from Vanishing Inc., I would like to inform you that a good idea would be to go and look at onlinemagic.co after this, because that's got loads of videos, 900, coin magic, card magic, mentalism, rope magic, sponge ball magic course, all those different courses, by the way. My lectures on there, everything, and live sessions every week. They're also uploaded. So have a look at onlinemagic.co, and like and subscribe if you like it. You want to subscribe to it, and share this, please. Be nice, and follow me on Instagram at Steve Faulkner. So Avi Yap is someone I have been following for a long time. I'm a huge coin magic fan, and I like good, impossible coin magic, and I like coin magic that fools me. Not just because it fools me, it's beautiful and it fools me, and I'm looking at it and I can't see what's happening. And that's quite rare, knowing what many of us know about the magic that we've spent our lives working on. And Avi's done that, and he's known for it. So I was really excited to see this. I've never seen any of his lectures. I've never read the book. I think there's a book release and there's a few releases. I do have Threaded, but I haven't started working on it yet. His take on the sort of charming Chinese challenge, which I'm looking forward to doing. Had it for a while, but he's a coin worker, a bit like Danny Goldsmith. He's not like Danny Goldsmith, incredibly different, but anything he does, I just love to watch. So I was really excited. I knew this was going to be difficult stuff. And the funny thing is, Avi started with this gag. He goes, right, I'm going to teach you how to work on coin magic naturally or whatever. And then the camera pans around and he's got like 12 coins palmed in different places and then laughs and drops them. Only joking, whatever. And then you realise later on that is easier than some of the stuff that he's actually teaching. It would have been easier to palm 12 coins in those than to put one there. But that's not a criticism. It's a draw for me. But is this all really difficult and unusable? Absolutely not. There's loads and loads of good lessons here. So in the first session, you've got 2 sessions and a Q&A. These are all pre-recorded now in order to kind of make it all a bit more cohesive. So pre-recorded masterclass sessions, and then the Q&A, they take all the questions just so they can get through a majority of them. They all get upvoted and they record a session of him answering those questions, which is really useful. Never watch the sessions and skip the Q&As, because that's where a lot of it all comes together, and especially here for me. So the first session is gimmickless session. Second session uses gimmicks. Going to be totally honest, a lot of these gimmicks you are not going to have. Doesn't mean you won't get them, but there is still learning to be had with this. And I think that going into this, it's good to know that you're not going to come out of this knowing how to do all the stuff and being able to do it. This is about looking at some very advanced techniques, but that still have learning that is applicable to less advanced techniques. And I think that's really important. And that, for me, is a sign of a good lecture. I very, very rarely learn something from a lecture that I can then take out in its form that I've been taught there. But to adapt and to, like, there's a free fly on here where we can do the first 2 bits and then do something, do you know what I mean? So don't be put off like I was a little bit when I went, I can't even get close to that. Oh, hang on, I can do the first of it and maybe do something else of it. So there's a lot of that. And the concepts he talks about the emptiness concept, this idea he's got that these days people know a lot more, which is true. And he says they will start thinking, oh, there's gaffs involved, there's a shell involved. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, especially at the sort of gigs I work at. I think, if you're hanging out with coin magicians, or people that are into magic that watch magic on social media, they're going to know those sort of things. But don't let that think, oh, I've got to do this harada hold, or they're going to think I've got a gap. It's all contextual. I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm saying that it's as he says, it's his preference and his ideas that he works with, and he doesn't expect you to believe them all, but to be open-minded with them and work towards this idea of emptiness, this idea that you can move your hand around like this and it's kind of a state of mind. He said, it's not that I'm not going to make sure they can't see it, it's how do you give the feeling of emptiness, that there could be nothing happening. And that's where I do agree with him. I think that some coin magic, they kind of know something's happening, but they don't know what it is, and that's fine. I think that's fine depending on the context. But to look at it, like I said before, and go, I don't even see that anything could be happening because there's nothing. That's kind of what he's going for and has achieved, which is why we love it. And it's definitely a goal for me. I just don't want to let it stop you performing if you can't go to those levels. So and he gives a great example of this. He takes David Roth's, he talks about standing on the shoulders of giants. This isn't a new idea, but it's what he goes for every time. And he shows a David Roth routine, Wing Silver, which I've always loved, but has those things that could be ironed out, and people have ironed them out in different ways. So he changes a few things and makes it absolutely impossible.
1, 2, 3. The coins will jump from one hand to the other. Let's try that again. Maybe that was a bit too quick. This coin started from the left, it's going to end on the right. 1, 2 will follow this coin. Just like so. That's the third one.
He's got this one coin routine, which he's got a coin vanish, which are actually not that far from being able to do. It's one of those ones you look at and you go, I can't even, and then it just kind of pops, and it doesn't involve a gimmick or anything like that. But then he's got a production of a coin which requires a holdout, which I just mentioned, but I obsessed over whilst watching telly every evening with Helen, my partner. I was saying to her, is this annoying you? Is this, and it's just drop, 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 drop of a coin. And then the weirdest thing started, it was like, oh, hang on, I'm starting to feel something happen there. And that's the strange thing with this stuff. Like, he will say he won't spend too long on something because it is what it is. You go put it there and do that, and at some point in the future, depending on how many hours of your life you want to spend doing it, it will start to kind of work. And it's a bit like a card fan. When you first try one, you're not even close. And then when you start getting it, you kind of don't know why. I mean, now looking back, you do, but you think, well, it just started happening. It's a bit like that, a bit like a muscle pass. You kind of go, right, it's nowhere near it, and now it is, and for some reason I can now do it. And a lot of this stuff is like that. You look at it and think, I'm never going to be able to do it. And like him and like me, I'm not comparing my skills to Avi's, but the mindset of, all right, that's really hard, but I'm going to give it a go. I might not be able to get it in the end, but if I don't, it's going to be after possibly years of trying. So it's become my regular thing now, and I love it. But again, you don't need it. So all the routines I loved on the I'm not going to go through all of them. On the first session with the non-gimmick stuff, incredibly challenging, but there were some click passes there that I could do pretty much straight away. Not because I'm brilliant, because I can handle coins, as many of you be able to. So again, there's some great stuff you'll be able to take from this. And he actually says, that's kind of the point of it. It's not, oh, you can do this thing. And in the second session, actually, with that, what I'm talking about, with that really difficult palm, he says, arguably, you're not going to be doing that at a gig, but if you can control the situation, or you control the opening of a thing, whether it's on video, which I think is, like I say again and again, valid, or it's in a show like he's working with Cyril a lot now. He's got control over what he does. It's a set show, it's a piece, it's a couple of minutes that he can do those things. Incidentally, he does talk about pressure. He gets great stories. Talks about doing the one-handed vanish, which is ridiculously difficult. I mean, to get to a point where you can hit it every time. He talks about doing it for Copperfield. Copperfield, after the show, he's going to want to see some stuff. I mean, I'll be nervous doing a double lift. I'll be nervous doing a cross-cut, crisscross force. I wouldn't do anything. I'd go to pieces. So, it shows you that he does do this stuff. Anyway, so all these routines that he's known for are on there, which is what you want. The stuff you've seen on Instagram, it's on there. That's what I wanted. I didn't want some dumbed down thing. We can find the simple stuff. We can find beginners courses. I've got one. Have a look. Coin Magic course, beginner to pro, part of onlinemagic.co. But I don't want that. When I see Avi Yap, I want to see it's stuff that's going to be too hard for me to do, and I want to learn from it, and that's what you do. Same with the gimmicks. So you're not going to have a lot of the gimmicks on the second session. You're going to want them. And he does talk about one that Vanishing are going to be putting out, and I'm going to be asking for one of them to review because it's great. It's kind of an old thing, but I'm really excited about what you can do with it. And like he said, he used to be a purist, and he's like, I want to do it all with sleight of hand. And now, actually, if it gets the job done, that's the one thing he says in the Q&A. Don't think you've got to do all this stuff. If you can get it done and you can make it a surefire thing, use whatever you want to use. Be inspired. And from this, I was. So there's even like a very easy mentalism routine, which doesn't use anything other than psychology, which I thought was really, really nice. When you've seen all this stuff and he does it, you kind of think, is this good? Because it's not really difficult. But then you realise that's the kind of stuff he might do for lay people. As he said, he never does it for magicians, but it's a really lovely routine. And then he says something, oh, and you could, if you want, just vanish it. And he does this, again, preposterously difficult vanish. But I just loved it. I get so inspired by this sort of thing. I think Avi's personable. He doesn't take himself too seriously, which, thank God, so many people do. It's magic tricks, right? We take it seriously because we love it, but there's also humour to be had, and he's got plenty of that. And I'm really, really excited about what he happens in the future, what he works towards, and I think he's one of a real talent and an inspiration, not only because he's really good at it, but because he has that thing of, I'm going to spend years. And he went in with Ponta the Smith, and some people go, it's too difficult. And I agree with him. I think, no, if you go in at any level you want to go in at, and if it's hard, you just think, right, it might take me a year to learn that, but I'm going to learn it. So we don't always have to start with Bobos. We can go in at whatever level we want, but just know the work that's going to take, and then maybe work back and work on our basics. So Avi Yap Masterclass, that's a very tiny bit about what you get. I'm sure you'll love it. I think most people have. I haven't seen any negative, other than a few people saying, I'm not going to be able to do that, but that's fine. Have a look at it. And then with the membership, Vanishing can do some great stuff with their masterclasses. I've been watching the Luke Germain masterclass, which is great. It's a place where people aren't, again, we're not dumbing it all down for a lecture. It's not that thing of, oh, we've got to make it easy so people can, no thanks. I want to know on the real work. So, and of course there's a space for all the other stuff. Have a good one. Take care. Any questions, put them below, and I'd love to know how you're getting on with it. And I'll one day maybe show you this thing that I'm working on if it ever happens. See you later. Bye.